Welcome to this week's Down Home with Tina. I am your host and I'm really excited to be here, and I've got some really cool guests. This week it is Easter, so happy Easter everybody. They also call it in the Christian world Holy Week, so folks will be out and about, of course, for Maundy Thursday doing their thing, and then on Friday, Good Friday. I hope you just have a wonderful and blessed week. But I've got some really great guests. I've got Matt Wideman, who is the president of the Rotary Club of Lancaster, and they're doing something really, really cool. And stick around, because at the end of the show, I'm going to share a little more of a story about, well, you'll find out. I'll just leave that like that. And then my second guest is Burbridge Cook, and he happens to be the executive director of Connexion West. So West School, they have all these things going on inside the building, and we're going to find out, if not about all of them, we'll find out about some of them. It's coming up next. You're watching Down Home with Tina.
Dagger Law has been part of the Lancaster community for more than 110 years. This is where we live and work. You'll see us at festivals, sporting events, and all around town. We consider our clients as friends, and we walk alongside you through challenging times. Whether you're a growing business, a changing family, facing litigation, planning your future, or dealing with land issues, we're right here. We are local. We are trusted. We are experienced. Dagger Law.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Hello, welcome back to Down Home with Tina. I'm excited to have a fella for the first time on the show to talk about something pretty amazing. And I think what's pretty amazing about it is it's about helping out those in the community, and kind of like an indirect way, because the people that they have helped with this, you'll find out. I'm just going to let him share. I've got Matt Wideman, president of the Rotary Club of Lancaster. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Tina.
It's nice to have you on the show.
That's great to be here. Thank you.
So, some cool things that the Rotary Club of Lancaster has recently participated in, and do you want to begin with your theme for the year for the Rotary Club?
Yeah, Rotary opens opportunities is the theme for the year, and that's the motto across all of the Rotary clubs. And so, and we've tried to focus on opportunities for service and fellowship and charity this year in particular.
So you worked with a couple of different organizations to make what we're going to talk about today actually happen, and it is a heart accreditation for a local, but it's through FMC.
That's correct.
So that's great. I mean, it's the community coming together in this project.
Absolutely, it is. The FMC Heart Safe program, they work to accredit local businesses and also schools through kind of a sister program, the Heart Safe Schools program. And when we say accredit, what they do is they train the employees of the business or of the school in CPR and also how to work the AED machine, which is the automatic external defibrillator. And it's one of those little boxes that you see on the wall of like the department store or local business that you go into. And what they found is that people that are trained in how to use the device but also how to do the CPR are more willing to do it. And there can be very dramatic differences in the survivability of a heart attack if someone is trained and performs immediate CPR versus waiting on the EMTs to arrive.
Absolutely, and it's very scary when you could possibly be sitting in a restaurant or any place. But the people that they have helped to learn these, I think I read somewhere, has it been over 70 different groups or organizations that they have helped overall, FMC, to get accredited?
There have been a lot, and I'll tell you, and that number, I think where it comes from is their Community Heart Watch program. And the Community Heart Watch program is a group of people really from all across the region, including other counties, that come together Prior, it was once a month, a little less now with COVID, but we're getting back at it. And they come together and they come up with ways in which to make the whole community more heart safe. And there's a lot of participants in that: doctors, nurses, business people, EMTs, people from other counties. It's very impressive to see them all come together for that one cause. One of the things, for just a quick example, is they're looking to map out on a digital program where all the AEDs are, so that if someone has a heart attack at Maria's next door to Fairfield Federal, the dispatcher can say, hey, go next door, grab the AED from Fairfield Federal, and then it'll tell you what to do. The AEDs have voice commands and they tell you how to use them.
Wow.
And it could save the person's life as they wait for the EMTs to get there. You can have somebody immediately start the life-saving treatment.
And you all, the Rotary Club, helped Fairfield County Job and Family Services and employees there to help for those clients, or even maybe in a personal situation.
Yeah.
It's widely spread throughout the community because of how many people there are at Job and Family Services. So
That's
tell me
correct.
about, how did you get into that relationship or started with that, and why?
Well, our Fairfield Federal, where I work, was the second heart safe business. The first was Kumler Collision. And we were the first financial institution to become heart safe accredited. So we were kind of right at the tip of the movement back in 2013. And I was in charge of that program for Fairfield Federal. And through that, I really just developed an appreciation for what it means to be heart safe and for the program as a whole. And I really wanted to help spread that to other businesses. And I think there's been a lot of people, including Laura Tussing, who's our current president-elect in the Rotary Club, but also president of Fairfield, or Park National Bank. And her business, Park National, became accredited as well. And so she is pushing to do kind of the same thing we've done this year during her year as president with the Rotary Club. And so I think it's something that's kind of spreading through the community to help get other local businesses accredited.
And what is criteria for accreditation? What includes?
Well, it's really simple, actually. So what they're looking for, they want 100% of the management of the business or school or whatever it may be to become trained. Then they want 25% of the staff to become trained, but importantly, somebody on each shift. So if it's a factory or a warehouse where you have multiple shifts, they want somebody on each shift to be trained. And you have to have enough people that if that person's sick, well, there'll be somebody else there to take care of it. And you also, importantly, you have to have AEDs on location. And enough that placed in such a way that the AED can be at the victim within a minute and a half.
Is the business expected to be the ones to fund and get the money for the training and the AED, or is there some cases that folks can offer to pay for it?
Absolutely. The business normally is expected to fund from a baseline. That is what we would hope if the business is able. However, I will tell you that, like what the Rotary Club is doing, along with others that have been donating to the Fairfield Medical Center Foundation, is they want to help fund some of those expenses. So, for example, a very busy restaurant in town that's very busy on the weekends and has a ton of visitors on the weekends, but isn't so busy during the week, really may not have the funds at that point to invest in the AED machines, which can run, $500 to $1,000 each. But they also have all these people that are coming in and out during the busy times, and they're a prime location to have an AED when all the other businesses in the evening are closed around them that might have them. And so it's really important that we get AEDs in those locations, but they, for example, may not be able to afford it. So groups like the Rotary Club, private donors have donated money in order to make it possible for those businesses to have AEDs.
Is there a fee on top of getting the AED and then the training for the employees?
No, there's not. In fact, one of our goals through the Rotary Club with our district grant was to fund the training for all the employees that could make it, and they had over 70 employees get trained.
Nice.
It was great. But because of the training was actually at a reduced cost, we were able to donate training materials such as the mannequins that are used for CPR practice, and then trainer AEDs that are used so you don't have to wear the battery down on your real AED to practice. You can practice with an AED that runs on Duracells, and it doesn't actually shock, but it goes through all the voice commands and it tells you how to use it.
Okay. And the CPR is the AEDs are in place of somebody to perform CPR, correct?
Oh, I'm glad you asked
that. With COVID and everything, people don't want to touch you with social distancing. We try to stay 6 feet away, but when it comes to saving somebody's life, I think anybody would do, what they can to try to save it.
Yeah, the AED is a crucial part to all this. It's very important. It doesn't take the place of CPR, and in fact, if possible, and to address the COVID issue, hands-only CPR versus the kind where you envision mouth-to-mouth, which is really what people would be worried about.
Yeah.
The hands-only is very effective as well. And so that's what, for example, what the JFS folks were trained in was a hands-only that didn't include breaths.
Okay.
But the AED is what saves the life. So you're prolonging the life through CPR. And in fact, you go from a 5 to a 7% survivability rate if you were waiting on medical technicians to arrive. You go from that to a 45% survivability rate with just CPR, but you go to a 60% survivability rate if you throw in the AED. So the AED is what restarts the heart. The CPR compressions get the blood moving, they get oxygen going throughout the body into the brain and keeps everything still alive. But the AED is what gets that heart beating again, which ultimately saves the life. And so that's why the AED is crucial.
Yeah, have you had to perform CPR or anything?
Thankfully not.
Yeah.
No, but I will tell you that through hanging out with my family, I mean, you never know when you're going to need this. And I will share with you, I have been in situations where, the training could have been important if circumstances were just a little different, timing was just a little different. And I think everybody I know has been in a situation like that where CPR training could really make the difference, but I have not had to perform it, thankfully.
Have you known anybody that has had cardiac arrest in the past that has maybe given you that extra, I say, motivation or desire and passion to really want to do what you're doing with this?
Yeah, I have, in fact, yeah.
Yeah. So I can totally relate, and that's why I was asking, because I wanted to share a little bit of my story and why I feel it is so very important that folks find the way somehow that they can be a part of this and get part of the accreditation for this, because my grandmother, who was my rock, my foundation, and she's the reason why I pray and do what I think, so many things that I do, and bake cookies for everybody, which I got cookies for Matt today, that she had cardiac arrest, and that's eventually is what took her life. So if you are somebody who you know something's going on, don't hesitate to get to the doctor. And I'll have more of that to share with you here in a bit. You're watching Down Here with Tina.
Hi, I'm Amanda Wattenberg, Regional Director at Ohio Guidestone. Do you or does someone you know have a substance abuse disorder? Have you been thinking about getting help, but don't know where to start? It takes a lot of courage to ask for help, but it's the most important step you can take. If you think you know everything that's available in Fairfield County, think again. Like other chronic diseases, addiction can be managed successfully. Treatment enables people to counteract addiction's powerful, disruptive effects on the brain's behavior and regain control of their lives. Even if it takes multiple attempts, treatment does work and people do recover from addiction every day. So keep trying, because your life matters. You matter, and we're here to help. Call 211 and ask for the treatment resources available right here in Fairfield County.
This message is brought to you by the Fairfield County Adam H. Board.
Welcome back to Down Home with Tina. Fella who is a part of, I don't even know how to explain it, because I think it's absolutely amazing with what they're doing in the community. I started going to this church. It has been a couple of years ago, and it was on and off, I'll be honest and truthful, looking for a new church, but I never steered away from it. And then COVID happened and didn't go back until recently, and I was so grateful because it was in church here recently that Pastor Aaron had Burbridge Cook, who is the executive director of this place I'm speaking of, Connexion West. You know that West school building that has been there, of course, I don't even know when it was actually originally built, and Burb might know it more than I do, but anyways, you were up on stage talking about what you guys do there, and I thought, I wonder if I can find a way to contact him. And I know you shared your phone number there on the church stage that morning, but Pastor Aaron, and I don't know if I always miss him or what, but he happened to have been at the door of the church as I was leaving, and I thought, I wonder if he remembers me, and he remembered me, which was very kind, and he got you, and you came over, and here we are, and oh my goodness, so Connection West, how did it even get started? Why did you guys decide to do such a huge project?
Okay. Well, it was actually a dream of Pastor Aaron's. Back in 2017 is whenever they acquired the Old West Elementary, and they wanted to set it up as a separate 501c3. But 15 years prior to that, Victory Hill had always done a backpack giveaway. So they would do 1,000 backpacks stuffed full of anything kids would need for school. And, that just led to a dream. He's like, man, I want a community center here one day. And everybody sort of laughed and joked around. It's like, is this really going to happen? And sure enough, it did. And then we sat dormant for a couple years, and then 2019 happened, and we just took off running.
And with that, because it's so funny, because when I get ready to do my show, what folks don't know is behind the scene, it's typically about 8 to 10 minutes to talk to somebody. I told Josh, my producer, I go, I don't know, we'll at least 10. I know it, because how many different projects, organizations do you have in the building currently?
Currently, we have 59 programs inside of Connection West, and then we also support 54 other nonprofits outside of our four walls. And then we focus on at least doing one large outreach every month. And then our mission statement is we talk about we want to meet today's needs while focusing on families and individuals and equipping them with the fundamental needs for generational change. And we believe you have to take that on as a two-headed monster. Outreaches, today's needs, and then the programs will be that generational change. So we have like Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace. We have a mentoring academy focused after junior high kids to homeless individuals. We have a food pantry. Sozo Pediatrics is inside of our facility. And it's just been phenomenal across the board what we have inside of there. And our goal is to be a one-stop shop. And then we believe this is the first of many facilities, because whenever we look at the west side of Lancaster, we see the same type of communities in Circleville, Chillicothe, Logan, and Newark. So it's like, hey, this is working for us. What can we do to branch out to our entire region?
Burb, how do you do it without becoming overwhelmed? I mean, I know that the Lord is in your life. That's
absolutely.
probably what it is,
Absolutely.
right?
My background's small business, so you have a lot of different things going on simultaneously, so you're used to the long days, and God prepares you for what your calling is, even if you don't see it in the moment. So 7 years prior to me coming on board, it just felt like one thing after another was not going right, but I needed those experiences. So now whenever we're at Connection West, it's like, hey, no, I know what the right decision is today because I've made the wrong decision previously, and it's just amazing for us.
It blows my mind because of all of the things that you have going on over there, and it's so very exciting. So what are some of the things that you can share with folks that maybe, because I'm sure volunteers or something, I don't even know where to start because there's volunteers, but there's also the programs that people can participate in. Where do you want to begin? What are the most important ones that you feel, not that they're any less than the other,
Absolutely.
means, or is worth the less than one or the other? What do you?
Outreaches, we need volunteers for those. So one that comes to mind is Easter is upon us. So we just completed with partnering with Maywood Mission, we did Easter baskets. So it's like, hey, we did 50 of them in-house, and it's like, okay, let's get these out there. So we need volunteers whenever we're stuffing the baskets, we're getting the candy and so forth. We're going to have some other ones coming up. So if anybody wants to volunteer, they can contact their local church, because a lot of churches in the community volunteer and serve under us, or they can call us direct. And my big thing is I want to make sure whenever somebody comes to serve at Connection West that they are in some place where their heartbeat is and their desire. I never want it to be any place where somebody feels like they have to come to work. So we'll sit down with them one-on-one, and it's just like, you tell me what your heart is, what is your desire and your passion, so that way we can plug you into the right arena that fits your personality and where God's calling you to be at.
What does it take for somebody who has a program and they come to you and they speak to you about it? Do you feel like it's got to be something that really is falling on your heart, and you feel that because they're going to be the ones to lead it? It's
Absolutely.
Their organization. Right?
Yeah. So we have out of those 59 programs, 12 of them are ours in-house, and then the rest of them are other partnerships. And it's like, hey, we've been blessed with this facility, and we've been blessed with a great business plan and a lot of different community partnerships. So what can we do to facilitate your needs? So we have a one-on-one meeting, and I just ask them, I said, what's God's laid on your heart? What's your desire and what's your passion, and how can we walk alongside you? So I want to hear their heartbeat, and then the individuals that come with a business plan and they have everything laid out, hey, I'm going to push you right to the top because you've already invested into it. I know that you're going to have some sustainability. And there's somebody that comes off the street and tells me, hey, I just really want to do this. And then they look at me across the table and tell me, well, I don't know what I'm going to do to build it. It's like, well, we can work with you, but you're probably a couple years out on this one.
Awesome that you're honest with that, and you can tell them right up front, so that way they're not, and they get in and then they're gone in a month.
Transparency builds trust. And so no matter what the conversation is, if it's hard, if it's an honest, but transparency builds trust. So.
You were speaking to me just before we got started, and I thought this is really, really important. One was, again, not that one's less important than the other, but you were mentioning that Rachel McCoy, and I know Rachel, which is an amazing person, Fairfield DD.
Yes.
They are just starting something.
Yes, so they've had game night, and I think they had it at Pizza Cottage prior to this. And she's like, hey, today's segregation in our generation, our era, is individuals with disabilities and individuals with not. She said, so what can we do to build a sense of community? And it's like, well, we think we're the venue for that, because we have 15 to 25 kids that show up every day just to play games at our facility anyhow, adults coming in. It's like, we're perfect. So our cafe set up, we had 8 different TVs set up for video game systems. We had 2 additional in our gymnasium for kids and adults to do the virtual reality games. We had a service dog come in, and it's just like, what can we do to build community just to get everybody to bridge that gap? And it was a phenomenal event. We had over 40 people show up for our first one.
The very first one. And how often are you doing it? Once a week?
We're going to do that every other Wednesday.
Oh, every other Wednesday.
Every other Wednesday.
Every other Wednesday. And we're going to go ahead and share contact information. If we have time, we'll share it a second time. What is the contact information for folks to maybe follow you or find out more about it? I need to get my rear end over there.
Yes. So they can call us at our office at 740-201-2778, or they can reach out via our website, and that's just connexionwest.org. And Connexion is spelled Connexion.
Why did you decide to do this? Why overall? Was it something that you wanted to take on?
I started volunteering for our mentoring academy back in 2017, and we ended up having like 1,600 kids go through this program. And
wow!
It was amazing to see from 3 different junior highs in our area, local churches sending kids to this program, as well as the juvenile courts. So it's like, hey, what can we do to really just grow Connexion West? And I think that's probably one reason they asked me, was just because we saw this one program inside of it really take off, and everything else surrounding Connexion West really hadn't at that point. And then whenever it's a calling, you just know it's something you're supposed to do. So whenever Pastor Aaron had asked me to do it, by that evening, I knew I needed to.
Is there anything that you don't have at Connexion West that you would like to see come to Connexion West? Because there could be somebody that's watching and they've got something that's been on their heart that they just haven't had that right person say, hey, this is something that we could. Is there anything in particular?
I recently went up to the Hope Center in Marysville, Ohio. It's a faith-based community center very similar to ours, and they have a phenomenal tutoring program taking place. So we have 15 to 20 kids that show up every day, and their grades are struggling. So our staff will shut down and we'll work with those students for about an hour, 2 hours every week. But we need some tutors, and we're writing some grants so where we can pay these tutors to come in and work with these students, because we really believe that it's generational change and they just need to be invested. For instance, we had one intern, he's 17 now, and whenever you first saw him come through the doors, you just thought he was a typical little punk. And next thing you know, he started showing up every day. And I have all of our interns take an IQ test as well as a personality test. IQ test just so I can see what's your leadership skills and your capabilities. I think anybody can learn a trait and a skill set. But this young individual scored a 160 on his IQ test, and that's Einstein level. So I'm like, this punk is sandbagging us. So he actually, we taught him how to do some electrical work, and he did all of our exterior lighting at our facility. He is a leader in the making, and we're just pouring into him. But we need tutors for other individuals like that. So if anybody's out there that, you know some connections, please come our way.
One more time, if you will please share your contact information.
Yeah, so our office number is 740-201-2778. Or you can look us up on Facebook as well.
So I had asked Burb earlier, about how he doesn't become overwhelmed, and it reminds me of an interview that I did many years ago for a fella and what had happened in his life, and his response was, when I asked him what got him through that, it was a tragedy in his case, but he said, that saying is, the Lord will not give you more than you can handle. It is because of the Lord that you can handle what is brought upon you. And
absolutely.
That is awesome. So thank you so much. You're
thank
so
you.
great. And we're going to keep on talking, folks. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. You're watching Downhill with Tina.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
We were retiring from Tucson, Arizona, and we made a retirement trip out around Ohio, having decided that's where we wanted to be. And we came across this town called Lancaster, and we fell in love with the downtown area, where the fountain is, and the memorials, and the flags, and all this stuff. And we looked around, and I said, there's our bank, right there.
There's something to be said about a community bank in your hometown.
Right. If you live in the community, you should do business in the community as much as possible. So it makes sense to bank with the community bank where you live.
Fairfield Federal is the bank to be at. If you live in this town, or any town actually, you want to bank at a local home bank. And the employees are happy here, they're conversant, customer service is through the roof. There's nothing more you could ask for.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Down Home with Tina. So at the beginning of the show, I talked with Matt Wideman, who happens to be the president of the Rotary Club of Lancaster. And he was talking about just something really, really cool about long story short, about the heart. So I really find it very important that folks, if you find yourself where you are unhealthy, then please, please, please. One of the things that I really like to, I hope, get my point across on the Down Home with Tina show is that I care. And each and every one of us is valuable and worthy. And I have an angel in front of me today. And the reason why I have my angel is because when I talk about value and worth, I think about sometimes we feel like we've got a broken wing. And when I was getting ready for the show today, I knocked my little angel off looking for something, and it broke her wing. And I said it there because I don't know about you, but I'm a hot mess. I say a hot mess. I make a hot mess every time I work with super glue. And I had just had some pliers in my hands earlier, and I thought, oh, I know where the pliers are. This was after I thought about it because I felt guilty. I thought, I don't want to leave her lay there with a broken wing. I can't do my show today with knowing I've got an angel at home. I know, right? Well, anyways, I got my super glue out. And lo and behold, I did not have a whole lot of super glue all over my fingers now, which is great. But I glued her back together, and nobody except for you would ever know if they came into my room that she had a broken wing. And I glued it back together. Now, we as humans, we sometimes fall, we sometimes fail, and we may even at some times in our life feel like we've got a broken wing. Just because you feel like you have a broken wing doesn't mean that people see it or they know it. Still continue to believe in you, and I also take that, whatever happened in your life that made you feel that down or whatever, and learn from it. You know, hopefully you got a lesson out of that, and just live your best life. Audrey Hepburn, I just recently watched a documentary that was about her life, and she quoted something, and this is going to be my PQ for this week. Love life unconditionally. And I thought all of the different quotes I've seen from Audrey Hepburn, that's not one of them. And I just thought to myself, maybe I can remind folks of that. And when it comes to your health, if it's just something that has happened in your life, remember your value and your worth, and that you are loved and you are cared for. And also, one of the things, you got to learn to love yourself, even if you feel like you have that broken wing or something broken in your life. You are the one that can make the decision to make a positive difference and do something for you. And why don't you begin with love life unconditionally. Folks, you can always watch my show, of course, on Facebook. That's where I have it quite often. And then also you can watch it on CLN 1021. And also YouTube, CLN, your hometown connection. I just want to thank you. I'm so blessed. Folks, I also wish you a very happy Easter, and I hope you can get together with family safely and have the best weekend. It is Down Home with Tina. God bless and good day. Happy Easter, everybody.